Hi there, and welcome to She Spice. His quick ascent to distinction to how everything came crashing down. P. Diddy was once going toward turning into a tycoon anyway. The numerous attack charges against him over the range of November 2023 not only stripped him of his tycoon status yet make them take a gander at a potential lifetime in jail. We should uncover the sad destiny of P. Diddy's early starting points and ascend to distinction. I figure the best thing to do is to sort of give an outline or history of how we came to the venture. We don't know where we are going or where we came from before he chose the stage name. P. Diddy Shahjahan called himself P. Daddy for quite a while, and he would later uncover that Puff was an epithet he'd gotten as a youngster since he was known to fit and puff at whatever point he was irate. Diddy was brought into the world in November 1969 by Janice and Melvin Duke. His mom was a model and a showing collaborator, while his dad had served in the U.S. Flying Corps. The rapper, diverted maker, and money manager, came from a wealthy family. He was brought into the world in Harlem, New York, and was raised outside of New York City in Mount Vernon. Part of the motivation behind why Diddy's family had all that they might have needed was his dad's nearby relationship to famous medication master Honest Lucas Melvin. Straight to the point anyway, this implied that he was in constant danger. When Diddy was 2 years old, Melvin was gunned down in a drive-by shooting in Focal Park West. Diddy needed to figure out how to become independent at an early age and settled pretty right off the bat that he needed a vocation in music. He concentrated on business organization at Howard College for some time, yet exited prior to graduating. In the long run, the rapper returned to Howard, graduated with a privileged degree, and gave the 146th beginning discourse. You could see that Diddy was on his way to accomplishing extraordinary things. Anyway, his spats with the police began very quickly. I didn't realize I was going to set off for college at Howard College, and I didn't have the foggiest idea what I needed to do, so I saw individuals in the background, and I was like, perhaps that is something I needed to do other than a periodic gathering being tossed in his quarters. Diddy was a stand-up resident, but he anyway had a talent for searching out the best gatherings, advancing the most siphoned occasions, and truly getting the group going in 1991, while interning at Uptown Records. Diddy advanced a guide's pledge drive at the City School New York Exercise Center. The occasion was advertised very much, for the most part, by Diddy himself. However, it was one of the most expected occasions of the year. Shockingly, the occasion coordinators got avaricious and oversold tickets. This brought about the now scandalous City School rush, wherein 9 individuals passed on illegitimate demise claims that were documented, yet nobody was charged for the occurrence, and Diddy moved away. Without any consequence, this was only the start, returning again to his ascent to acclaim. Diddy began working with enormous names, for example, Mary J. Blige and Joe Daisy, when he was at Uptown Records, but was terminated in 1993 when it was affirmed that he'd been conspiring against the recording organization. Did he have dreams to begin his own mark? Terrible Kid Records, and was gradually working his way through Uptown's program. He at last began his own recording office and promptly marked perhaps the greatest name in music to this date. Christopher Wallace, better known by his stage name, the famous Huge. Another motivation behind why Terrible Kid Records acquired popularity or disgrace was that Death Row Records began an extremely open quarrel with the recording mark. It was an entirely prominent instance of hip bounce competition between the East and West Coasts. Diddy was moving gradually up through the rules and began working with other huge names, for example, Mariah Carey, 2 Men. Lil' Kim, Aretha Franklin and Tender Loving Care. With Tender Loving Care, Diddy produced their greatest hit, Insane Provocative, which turned into the 25th most elevated selling collection of the 10 years is cool, per the Bulletin. I was continuously moving. You had desires to perhaps be a rapper or something to that effect. I didn't have the foggiest idea where I planned to go. The 1990s were an extraordinary time for the Diddy, who began delivering his own music under Puff Daddy. He's mightn't no presentation, at anyone hold me down, crested at #1 on the point. No Chance sold more than 500,000 duplicates in the Principal 7 diagrams. Day stretch of its delivery. From There the Sky is the limit, and more performers were arranging outside his entryways in a limit. Diddy turned into the essence of the music business and made me need to manner that get things done for the long term. How would you carry on this heritage? I needed to ensure that this fantasy implied something by the day's end, since this young fellow lost his life through this excursion. This implied various honors and achievements. Did you have any idea that Diddy was really the primary rapper to make a big appearance? A melody at #1 on Bulletin. The tune was I'll Be Missing You, a recognition for the famous Huge who'd been killed in a drive-by shooting in 1997. Did he likewise get the sought-after Rap Collection of the Year at the 40th Yearly Grammys in 1998? I'm honored to be in this industry, not simply attempt to mix it with my craftsmen. His progress implied that he could purchase out Arista Marks as the merchant for Terrible Kid Records and oversaw his recording office during the mid-2000s. Diddy began expanding away from working exclusively with hip jump specialists and, surprisingly, began acting in motion pictures. Pay attention to the music that I created to purchase the vodka that was in the club. It's not even the portion of it that Diddy is winning. Of the best business, perhaps one on the planet, and was going on tycoon status in 2023 when everything came crashing people down. Has, among different organizations, he's a liquor line, a scope of extravagance organizations, and products. He's likewise a financial backer with a hand in pretty much every other effective organization in the chronic a few even globally legitimate difficulties while nobody could straightforwardly T Diddy to the city US. There are the charge of 1,991 Diddy wound up in hot counsel. When rapper and previous director Water blamed him for a vicious attack, Steve Stouty. Did Nas' tune Disdain Me Now delivers more, which was likewise highlighted in the music video? The issue anyway was that Diddy didn't see the value in his part in the video where he was executed. The maker thought it was. And believed Bold should eliminate it from the godless product. Finished Strong continued with it anyway. Presumably to support Scene, this outrage deals with, and in 1999 he and not many of his partners broke into Strong's office in Diddy. After Went Heavy sued Diddy for $500 and was granted a similar. Diddy consented to confess to a lesser accusation of badgering and was condemned to 1 day of outrage by the executives class. That was all there was to it, a token punishment. It was a lot harder for Diddy to escape the charges brought against him in December 1999. Diddy, his then sweetheart Jennifer Lopez, and the youthful rapper Sparkle were at Club New York in Times Square when Diddy got into a heated quarrel with one more supporter. Words were traded and things began to get actual, that is, when purportedly Diddy and Sparkle began terminating at the group to threaten them. The case was profoundly hair-raising because of multiple factors. For one, Diddy and Sparkle had covered weapons at a club, then the way that Diddy was found to have endeavored to pay off his driver into guaranteeing that he was the one with the firearm, and ultimately a preliminary in the end found Diddy not guilty, and Sparkle was again condemned to serve 10 years in jail after he was viewed as at legitimate fault for 5 of the 8 something negative for him for accepting that Diddy had 2. Said Sparkle, whom he endorsed as his protege in 1998 under the transport. Spark was blamed for endeavored murder, with various observers affirming that he terminated at the group and harmed 3 individuals. Spark stated that he'd just terminated high-up ballistics specialists, likewise guaranteeing that Spark's weapon didn't cause the 3 casualties' wounds. A few group revitalized against the decision, including Sparkle's family, who declared that he was a youthful migrant who had depended on Diddy to help him in making a rewarding rap profession. Rather, Diddy let him accept any consequence for the wrongdoing. Sparkle was at last delivered. Subsequent to serving 9 years, he got back to business, and after a bombed stretch in the music business, he began working in governmental issues. Diddy was a subject of huge contention again in 2003, when it was uncovered that Honduran laborers in his Shahjahan processing plants in the nation were exposed to a dreadful work environment. Laborers were exposed to irregular body looks and unjustifiable pregnancy tests, and admittance to the restroom must be endorsed by an unrivaled rapper. He guaranteed that he didn't know that any work regulations were being disregarded. He supposedly terminated the harmful managers, added conveniences to the structure, and permitted the specialists to ultimately shape their trade guilds. Diddy left the organization yet got back to sue the new proprietors in 2012, claiming that they kept on utilizing his name and resemblance despite the fact that he no longer had a relationship with the organization. Diddy has really needed to disavow a few colleagues throughout the long term. In 2023, He declared that he'd document a racial segregation suit against the liquor brand Diageo after they neglected to create sufficient deals for his kind of liquor. Rather, Diddy blamed the organization for zeroing in on selling Ryan Reynolds and other white superstar names all the more effectively. His case included allegations that Diageo had set up his organization to flop by putting his name-image items in modest stores. The case didn't go. Subscribe She Spice for more videos.